Fabulous Friday, captive audience. We have a special guest with us tonight. It is Scott McMahon of Bigger Truth Media, and I really appreciate you coming on our program tonight, Scott. Welcome to Captive Audience.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
So, Scott, you are doing investigation. I would like for you to tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into more details.
Certainly. So I am a reporter. I was working as a small town reporter in Michigan. I started about 8 months ago. Before that, I was a real estate broker. I've always had an interest in journalism. I studied creative writing in college at Arizona State University, and I my buddy was starting a newspaper, an online newspaper, because our conservative town had the only local paper was owned by big city Democrats. So we called it the Lapeer County Mess. So the Lapeer County Press. So we started our own paper, and I was doing everything from sports to human interest stuff to to what was happening at the local school board meetings and stuff, and got to sometimes covered state issues. And just like in Oregon, the state party in the state Republican Party in Michigan is just a mess. And so I started covering the conflict there in December, and by January it was really reaching a peak. On January 6th, Christina Karamo, who was our chair, was removed and in a meeting, but she didn't step down. She refused to step down. So we actually had two state parties.
Wow.
Accounts, to websites, to organizations. We had to form two different C3s, and it was just a mess, and nobody knew what was going on. And so I took a leave of absence from the paper so that I could study it full time. I thought for just a couple weeks so that I could get a handle of the story. And in that process, I discovered an operator named Mike Labadie, who came out from California. He was registered as a Democrat in 2016, just a few weeks before the 2016 election when Donald Trump was elected. And he probably, registering as a Democrat, probably didn't vote for Biden or for Trump. But in 2017, almost immediately in the beginning of 2017, he moved out to Michigan. He got involved in the Republican Party and as a precinct delegate. And he worked his way up to a district, be on the district candidate search committee by 2019, looking for a candidate for Secretary of State because he wanted our really Marxist Secretary of State to win. And he ran her campaign. And I had 5 whistleblowers that came out publicly in my first report in mid-January. And he ran her campaign, really controlling, just an extraordinary amount of control, especially over her language. And her language was oriented never towards the general election audience, but really towards the wave of incoming precinct delegates that were being recruited with the help of Dan Schultz, Steve Bannon, Jack Posobiec, all these people, these national voices that were saying, join the Republican Party, become a precinct delegate to kick out all the rhinos to save the country. And so I was actually one of those. I ran for county commissioner in 22, and I lost just by about 150 votes. And so anyways, I saw that I was part of the C. Bannon audience, but as I started investigating this, I heard about Mike Labadie, and I was exposed to not just what was happening in Michigan. I started looking at other states. People started contacting me from Arizona, and then I was contacted from Oregon and said, hey, the same thing's happening here. Started working on a nationwide story. And so here I am. And what I now understand is that this is a nationwide operation to infiltrate the grassroots and really create a cult-like following that really is, like a Christian nationalist kind of cult that is really not a Christian cult at all. Even though they claim to be Christians, they use the Bible as a weapon to incite hatred against other Republicans. And clearly not a Christian organization. And the devastation that you guys have experienced there in Oregon, I've seen it in every other state that I've looked.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's interesting. So I'm posting your X page here in our link, and I've been involved for about 11 years. And I'm currently a Umatilla County chair here in the state of Oregon. And and of course I got involved because I could see the Uniparty, now what's called the Uniparty, the Republicans go in the same direction as the Democrats, and realizing that we need to turn our party back to our values. And that's truly what got me involved. I was involved with Republican Women, and somebody said to me, "You should be a PCP. You don't have to do anything." Well, that's what I found out in our county, that there wasn't anything to do. They weren't doing anything. They had people that were act there, but I won't, that was just when I got involved. Previously, I know our party had been in our county, had been doing things, and now our party is doing things in our county. But seeing what's gone on in our state party, going from utter chaos to calm, because we didn't have any leadership. Many people, it's interesting to see that many people want to get involved with the leadership of the state party as a springboard to a higher office, thinking that that is what is going to be. Well, I haven't seen that work yet, but people keep trying it. And but I have saw our party. We had 5 years of good, steady growth, cleaning up the messes of previous administrations, and and it was really good. Then we had a slate of senators in our state that decided they want to run for the leadership of our state party, and I, as others, were going, "What for?" We're getting good donations. Have a strong group of people that are working together, rowing in the same direction. And this was at a critical time for our governor's election. And I was running for vice chair of the party with our former chairman that did not get reelected, Bill Courier. And I'll tell you, under his leadership, he's a person who he wanted to do what was best for the party, not what he was, and not for his own personal gain, is what I'm saying. And I'll tell you, he under his leadership and those that were around him, because it is more than one person, our party was doing so well. And when this slate of failed senators got elected, I was astonished. And it was at the time of, you had brand new PCPs and the mantra of change. Oh, we've got to have change. That was the mantra. And I'll tell you, hope and change is how we got Obama in this country, and the demise. And so, unfortunately, people that had no clue of what was really going on elected this failed Senate leadership, or not leadership, failed Senate group, to be the leadership of our party. Since then, we have been on an absolute downhill, and I do mean rapidly downhill, decline in our state party, in donations, which are non-existent for the most part. Let's say before, and I was at the time, I was the finance chair for the Oregon Republican Party. So for about every dollar we spent, we were making $3 and $4. Right now, for every dollar we spent, we're losing money. We are not getting our investment back. So it is just trashing our party. And when they got elected, and I thought, well, that's the will. Okay, let's see what happens. But by the actions of them, and the subsequent, for the next couple of years, I realized this was a hostile takeover. So who was orchestrating that? That I don't have the answer to. I have guesses of who that could be. But when a sitting senator, Dallas Hurd, he's resigned. He was absolute utter failure. and he's a businessman. But when he was running, we asked him, how are you going to be a senator, a father with a young family, and a business owner and still run the party, when our current chair, Bill Courier, said, I treat this as a full-time job because that's what it takes. And so I really felt that we here in Oregon were having an infiltration, and it has continued. It didn't stop there. And our current leadership, oh my gosh, what we have going on right now would be a 3-hour program, and we're not going to do that tonight. But we do have some big issues happening. We just witnessed what I believe is election fraud for National Committee Woman position here in Oregon. There was a missing ballot, and they deemed it was that it must have been an abstention, despite the calls for people to let's count the ballots again, let's put them in numerical order, let's revote. All of that was shouted down, mob rule type, shouted down. And I was the person who challenged it on the floor.
And you're talking about the election for Tracy Honnell, right?
I am talking about the election for Tracy Honnell,
okay.
Which subsequently they have found that ballot. Lo and behold, we've got breaking news here for people. You know, in that the executive committee this past Saturday held a meeting and said, we're going to, by golly, we did an audit. Well, they didn't notify the other candidates, of who was in that audit, who authorized the audit, who was in the audit, who was witnessing to this. But by golly, they found that ballot. You know, we could have had this solved in 30 minutes, gone to a second vote. The outcome could very well have been the same, but we would not have had the turmoil that is right now in our party. We are in absolute turmoil because of the crap that the executive committee decided to do, of this secret meeting, the going into doing an audit with who knows who as witnesses. And now we're actually calling, I'm one of 4 counties chairs that have asked to we are petitioning our the body of Oregon, and the Oregon Republicans. We are petitioning for an in-person meeting to have a revote for the National Committee Woman, which is what we should have done at the meeting. We were already there.
Which is that, you know, that's a fairly big ask, isn't it? So you're talking about bringing all of the state delegates back together in one place.
We are. It is a big ask, but we only need 19 people, one person from 19 counties to sign the petition, and then it is done. We have determined we're asking for July 6th, a Saturday at 1:00 in the afternoon. And we're trying to, the chief petitioners are myself from Umatilla County, Joel Pulowski from Marion County, Clinton Carlson from Morrow County, and Gabe Bueller from Washington County. And to do this is and we're doing this because the executive committee is saying, well, it was voted on and approved to have a revote electronically. That is not acceptable. It's not acceptable to me. It's not acceptable to our delegation in Umatilla County. And I believe it is not acceptable by many people in the state of Oregon that are elected to go and vote at a meeting. This is not how we should be doing it. Right. And so by conversation with a couple other county chairs said, hey, we can do this. The counties can ask for a meeting, and it only is 19 people. One person from 19 counties is all it takes. So we sent that out yesterday. I'm sorry to say that I do not have a count of how many signatures or petitions from different counties we have received. I do know that a few counties chairs had contacted me and said, "Hey, I heard about this, but I haven't got the petition." So we forwarded the petition to them. And, this is how you correct how a counties can affect the change in the state party when they are not getting what they want or what is needed for our party. It's not what we want. I wanted them to do this right in the meeting that we were seated in. And it didn't happen. And it's a shame it didn't happen. Had Tracy stood up and said, "You know what? I'm not going to get elected like this. Let's have a revote," she would have probably gained votes and still been the winner. But no, that's not what's happening. And it's a shame. It's a shame for our party in a presidential election, in a presidential election year, when we need to be focusing on getting out the vote, not this turmoil.
This is just crazy. It's always the so-called election integrity experts. I'm sure they're in Oregon. They say that they're the only ones that care about election integrity, right? And they're constantly talking about election fraud, really, in my view, as a psyop to discourage people from even voting, to discourage voters, Republican voters, from turning out. But they claim they wear that mantle on them. They put it on their own shoulders, like they're the gods of election integrity. But and I've seen this in Arizona, in Michigan, where they have no problem whatsoever with coming up with all kinds of fraudulent schemes in intra-party elections in order to get secure the outcomes that they want. And it's absolutely crazy. And so what you're saying and what I'm understanding is that they had so on the election, it was a 3-way race, right? And
Correct.
Tracy Hummel, and they're supposed to have in order to emerge from that first round, she's supposed to have 50% plus one. Is that right?
That's correct.
But there was one abstention, or there was one so-called missing ballot.
Yes.
And so how was she declared the winner at that point if she didn't have 50% plus one?
Well, the rules chair, who happened to be, she's the rules chair. She was an observer. Her name is Margie Hughes. She has been a long-standing volunteer in the Oregon Republican Party. She actually used to be an employee, used to be the executive director. She's been very involved in the Oregon Federation of Republican Women as well. And but so she holds many titles. She is, in fact, Dallas heard when he was chair, he says, "Oh yeah, Mama Margie." That was the name he gave her. She's going to tell us how to do everything. Well, unfortunately, she organized who was going to be the people gathering the ballots up, okay, and who is going to be the head teller, who's going to be the elections manager, and which was another long-standing volunteer in Oregon Republican parties who I like and respect, but I do not believe should have been in that capacity at all, since we now have 2 affidavits that she was not capable to do her job. So, and then Margie, who was an observer and yet wrote the rules and coordinated all of this, put her hands on the ballot, Scott. Like breaking all the rules.
So unsupervised?
No, right in the room with everything, everybody there witnessed by one of the election observers, put her hand on the ballots and said, "Stop. We've got to do this differently." And actually, what we've learned now from the observer for Helen Heller was that they counted the ballots 3 times, and every time came up with a different number. And yet Tracy was declared the winner. I mean, this is election 101. This is not what you do, but it is how you get the outcome that you want.
Right, because they didn't want
the outcome on the first ballot.
Right. They didn't want it to go to a second round.
No, and it should have gone to the second route. And so we were calling for election integrity on the floor. In fact, I'll tell you, several people said, "Where the hell is election integrity in our Oregon Republican Party? Because if we don't have it in our meeting, we don't have it at all." And it's so, I truthfully, I hate talking about this because I've given so much to our state party in volunteer time and building up our county, and our county is doing well. Is there room for improvement? Yes, there always is. And we need more volunteers, but I'll tell you, the beauty is we're growing. But at the state leadership, that's where you have to have the bar set damn high. And your morals and ethics and scruples have to be above reproach and do what's in best for the state party, not what for their own self-interest.
Do you think that there's 19 counties that are on your side with this?
I do. Yes, I do.
How many
Yes,
counties
I
are
do.
there in Oregon?
Pardon?
How many counties are there in Oregon?
There's 36, which brings up an interesting point. Out of 36 counties, we only have 34 that are organized. So actually, the threshold should be even smaller because the other counties are not organized. They don't have a chair, they don't have any PCPs. So I don't, and I was thinking about that today, saying, I think the threshold could be less. So I'm going to be looking into that. As we to see what get guidance on that. But I do believe we have 19 counties. Yes.
And has there been any word from the RNC? Because I know that there was the
Well, I did file a challenge to this election to the RNC, and then I filed a second challenge or an addendum amendment to my challenge, and now just yesterday, another challenge has been filed to the RNC from the second congressional district here in Oregon, the chair and several of the officers. And for those that don't know this, the second congressional district in Oregon compiles more than half of the state lands. It is huge. We are a lot of the state by land, but not by voter, because this is, it's ranching. We are out in open space, open country. They're trying to fill all of this up with wind turbines and solar panels. And so it's a huge district that comprises of many counties. And I'm sad to say, I don't know exactly how many counties. But unfortunately, there is a couple of counties that are in CD2 that don't support this. And the shame of it is that it's because, well, one told me, I just don't think it's right that we do this. Well, hello, to fix an election? You weren't also at the meeting. You weren't at the meeting. And so we need 22 counties. Lynette, who is a good friend of mine, she says 22 counties in CD2. So, just in CD2, we ought to be able to get this petition just out of CD2, by golly. But there are those that, some people are, as you said in your intro, some people it's almost cult-like, and they want to follow what they feel is right, even though they're not believing their eyes, not believing their lying eyes or their lying ears, and of what they see and hear. They think, oh, that person must be wrong.
Right.
And our challenge to this election is not wrong at all. And so I really didn't think we were going to talk about our whole election thing tonight here, but here we are.
Well, it's big in current news. So, and it sounds like most of your audience just didn't, this is new for most of your audience too. So
it is because it's been, I'm a person that I don't feel like putting a lot on social media. What is our in-house party squabbles, because, hey, it just feeds the Democrats. But when we're having something like this, more people need to hear the truth of what's going on. And, I was reading about your on X, formerly Twitter, you have pinned a post of the various things that these infiltrators, they have these commonalities. Would you
Mhm.
talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up because I don't have it memorized. It was just kind of brainstorming in the spur of the moment, but I've got it right here. Yeah, so it was, and there's a lot more. I listed 13 here. Do you want me just to kind of go through the list?
Well, sure. Hey, go ahead.
I because and I think you'll see a lot of these things in Oregon, and then there's some more things that have come up after I posted created
Well,
this list.
well, this is why I want you to do this, because I want people to listen. It's not my voice; it's an observation that you have made. And
Mhm.
when I read through this, I go, "Oh yeah, I recognize this happening in Oregon, in the Oregon Republican Party." So
Mhm.
please
Yeah,
do.
they call themselves America First. That's their big thing. They're America First, and the rest of the Republicans are not. Ridiculous, because I've never spoken to a Republican that doesn't think that America's interests should be our highest priority. I'm not sure what America First means to them, other than it's a set of purity. It's some establishment of a purity test. Just like if you ask them to define a rhino, they can't really do it. It's basically anybody to them that is bad within the party. But really, what it is, it's not an ideological difference. It's just that they don't vote exactly the way they want them to vote on, and especially on intra-party things. If it I mean,
Right.
you could agree on just about everything, on abortion, on transgenders in schools and women's sports, pornography in libraries. We can agree on just about everything that's going on. Taxes on just about everything. But you're a rhino if they can't control you. And that's really, that's what it really comes down to. It's about control. So the second thing is that they openly admit that they want to get rid of all the rhinos. Number three, the people that they're attacking are not rhinos, but they're clearly Republicans with a long track record as a hardworking conservative who do not belong to their club, group, or cult. And it's really that they can't be controlled, and they tend to target the most talented first. The people that are the most effective and the most talented, they tend to target first as rhinos and seek to remove them. They create conflict, delays, and chaos at county, district, and state conventions and meetings. They're very good at that. I actually have a
Witness
copy.
that. I've witnessed that.
Yeah, I actually have copies of two scripts from past county conventions here in Michigan, where it said who is going to bring up what motion when, who is going to second it, and all this it's pretty crazy. I mean, it's scripted, and I believe that they have scripts, whether they do it on their phone or they have it printed out that people need to study before.
Absolutely. I've seen that too.
Yeah, but they really do. It's scripted chaos. They openly claim to be Christian nationalists, and they use the Bible as a weapon to incite hatred against the Republicans, with other Republicans, which I mentioned before.
Mhm.
The leaders of their club, group, or cult, this is number 6, they're often recent converts to the party, and an alarming number have criminal backgrounds. And everybody around them and above them, they seem perfectly fine with those criminal backgrounds. And they're perfectly fine with them just having been a Democrat, 1 or 2 or 3 years ago. Or
Mhm.
like in Don Power's case, that he never even registered. He never registered to vote at all, and never voted at all until 2022. All of a sudden, he's almost the RNC committeeman. It's insane.
It
Um,
is insane.
and number 7, they do not engage in effective get out the vote efforts. They seem to only be concerned with the election of PCPs or precinct delegates. Number 8, they focus incessantly on election fraud. It's almost all they talk about. Number 9, however, in their inter-party um, elections, they often engage in overt acts of election fraud in order to secure their own power, like we just talked about. Number
Yeah.
10, they raise almost no money at all, and they make ridiculously stupid decisions with the money that they do have, often in ways that benefit their friends, and almost never using it to help in any way that would help get out the vote or help win elections. Number 11, they
Yep,
invest
I've
in
witnessed that.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, well, you kind of mentioned that a little bit ago. And number 11, they invest an enormous amount of time on character assassination of their opponents within the party.
Mhm.
They're ruthless, they're untruthful, and they're cruel.
I've witnessed that.
Yep. I was on Wake Up Tucson in Arizona this morning on the radio talking, publishing a recorded phone call with a sitting state senator, that called me to try to prevent me from hosting one of my guests before I hosted the guest. Uh, she called her the effing queen of evil repeatedly in that call. It was insane. The whole call
Wow.
was just bonkers. This is a sitting state senator. Um, and she got more and more angry just because I was just asking her to support her claims, and she had no evidence to support her claims except that everybody agrees with her.
Right. This is that is a continuing thread is you must agree. If
That's
you
right.
don't agree, then you're wrong. And in fact, in the Oregon Republican Party, it is so bad that we have an official, in quotes, air quotes, right? An official Oregon Republican Party PCP page. It's a closed group, and in there the censorship is so bad, it's astronomical.
Yeah.
And if you post the truth, they will take it down. When you screenshot it and post it in the unofficial page and tell the truth, they'll go, oh, no, 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 we put it back. Oh, yeah, the shenanigans that are happening in there. And actually, Tracy Honnell is one of the people that is quite actively in that and participates in lots of censorship.
Right. Yeah, I'm not at all surprised. I had just a short exchange that I actually published on X, that where she emailed me and said that that I was wrong about everything. And this was after I first interviewed Joel and Carrie McQuiston,
Hmm.
and she said I was wrong about everything, that my guests are wrong about everything, and she said that we're making all kinds of progress and moving in the right direction. She sounded like to me like a Democrat. And I said, so do you believe that getting rid of Solomon is progress? And she went on this long-winded response that basically, yes. And she said, yes, it is progress to get rid of
Yeah.
Solomon, which is just, it's crazy. It's not progress. It's
No,
regress.
no. How do you say that the number 8 in seniority of 168, getting rid of them, taking them out, is progress? And Tracy Honnell absolutely had something to do with that, as well as Don Powers and a myriad of others. Unfortunately, there are those that believe them, that were blindly following along. And I give grace to those that don't know any different, but I don't give grace to those that do. It's wrong, and they are definitely an agenda, and they accomplish their goal.
Right. Well,
Sadly,
we're all ultimately accountable and responsible for what we choose to believe.
true.
And so, we are responsible for who we follow. Not just, it's not just the leaders, it's the followers that ultimately are responsible as well. So
Yeah.
uh, and that's the challenge, is drawing people out. And I say it's a cult because it's the similar process to help someone walk away from a cult as to walk away from this group, because the level of manipulation is it's unbelievable. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, we've all experienced it, trying to talk to a family member or somebody that's got TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome, and you just can't reason with them because their
No.
mind is divorced from logic. And it's the exact same thing here. So,
And so, and that's another thing. There are people that say that they are good conservatives and want to help our party move forward and actually hate Trump. They are never Trumpers. And for me, I can't fathom that. I can't, okay, maybe forget the personality. Look at the accomplishments. Look at what the man has accomplished. And how do you discount a billionaire? Hello, this is not a stupid person. And what he has accomplished, not promises made, promises kept, but also the exposure, waking people up to what is wrong in our country. And just like any time you're cleaning house of anything, the mess always gets worse before it gets better. And I feel that that's what we're going through as a nation.
Mhm. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think that the number one issue to me, I am a single issue voter, and that issue is the elimination of the deep state, the bureaucratic Marxist, bureaucracy that wants to control every aspect of our lives.
Yeah.
And there's only one man who can, and that is something that the executive branch, according to our Constitution, has the power and authority to rid us of, because it's part of the executive branch. The whole deep state is part of the executive branch, and so the president is the only person who can really do that, and the only one who could become president, who has the cojones to stand up to this absolutely and tyrannical regime is President Trump, and he's doing it. He's modeling that with what he's doing, and with fighting against the lawfare. So yeah,
100%.
he's I've been asked a lot, and I posted this on X the other day. I've been asked a lot, who do I trust? Because I don't trust. I have come to distrust every single person in the media. There is nobody that I trust in the media, and so I've been asked, well, who do you trust then? And the only person I can think of is Trump, and it's not. I don't. He's not an idol. I don't idolize him, and I know he's made mistakes. He's going to make mistakes, but he's the only one that I see that's actually he's in the belly of the beast. He's fought against, and he's taking the blows, and he's doing it anyways. And so I really admire that. As much as confusing as this whole process has been for me, examining the as I go to what are the national connections between these organizations, and we kind of talked about this a little bit before the call, and as I see that, these are some really powerful and really terrifying forces, and Trump sees that, like those are all they're all oriented against him, and and so I think we need Trump. And I pray that we can come through for him. So, and I think early voting too is a big part of that. I just want to give a plug. I think we as Republicans need to change our habits as far as voting. I think that it's the biggest thing that we can do to vote early and to get on the permanent. Here in Michigan, we have a permanent absentee ballot list, absentee voter list. I don't know if you do in Oregon, but to vote early, to get on that list, to change our habits, and to bank our votes so that candidates know who's voted and where to invest their time and their resources and their money.
I'll tell you, that's a lot of money and a lot of effort chasing ballots and waiting till the last day to chase ballots. It really, really is. And I will say I'm torn with that. It sounds good. Part of me says, but wait a minute. Then the other side knows how many they have to come up with. But they're going to know that anyway on election night. We experienced that in 2020 for the very first time. They stopped counting. That was the first time they've ever stopped counting all these ballots. And to have several states do that at the very same time I knew that was an absolute fraud happening right before all of our eyes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Well, and we saw in 2022, especially in Arizona, what happens when a sizable chunk of Republican voters waits until election day to vote. It doesn't take much for them to pull some shenanigans and put all of those ballots, make them all into provisional ballots. And that's what happened. And that's why Arizona lost in 22. That's why Republicans lost in Arizona, is because they waited until election day.
Yeah.
And so,
that's
if Democrats have in most states right now, Democrats have a 2-to-1 advantage in early voting, in early voters. And if we can bring that to even going into election day, I think that we have a really good chance.
Okay.
So that's a total aside.
Yeah, definitely.
I really do think that that's an important issue.
Yeah.
As I've been researching this. Do you want me to go on with the list?
Well, hey, just hit the high points there.
Sure. Yeah, and we're almost through it. We're on number 12. So
Okay.
the strange narratives the same strange narratives filter through their organizations in the same way that we see happen in the media on the left. And and that's that it's very interesting to watch them, just like in the channel, like in that private group that you were talking about, was
Yeah.
it was a program or signal or whatever. And that they use either Telegram or Signal for that, and mostly Telegram in every state that I've looked at. And the way that they filter these narratives through, it's pretty crazy. Number 13, the people on the right they're on the right side of this. They're really a delight to talk to. These are people that they volunteer with the party because they want to win and because they want to give of themselves, and they're the treasure of their own knowledge and experience. And they're talented, effective, professional, hardworking, and well connected. And they're targeted because of it. So
you're absolutely right. And so, like, to that point, I've seen about 5 counties in Oregon that have been targeted. Baker County is one where you had a long-standing chair that was doing good things in their county moving forward. And so what I'm seeing targeted is good, effective counties that are doing good things. And so I realize here in my county, I've gone, well, let's see what happens. I've got recordings of somebody trashing me several years ago, telling a group of people when I was running. I've ran for National Committee woman, so there's going to be those that go, oh, Sunny just wishes she ran or she won. And well, actually, there was a little bit of an election anomaly even when I ran. And guess who ran that election? Margie Hughes. Margie Hughes ran that very same election, but it's not sour grapes for me. It's whatever, but let's make the process be correct. And if we have issues, those people that were in those problems, let's eliminate them. Like I believe Margie Hughes should never run an election again. Shouldn't be allowed to pick the teller, shouldn't have anything to do with that. We have to clean up our party. And we do have to recognize who is it that's causing the problems. Like Don Powers with the effigy. He has been a big mouth towards he talks bad about me, talks bad about Solomon. I don't care when somebody talks bad about me. I must be getting closer to the target. And I worked at construction. I'm a contractor. I have got thick skin. Let me tell you, it's not gonna ruffle me at all. But he's definitely been a mover and a shaker, and he came into our party as an appointment from the failed Senator Dallas Hurd when he was our chairman. That's where Don Powers came into our party. And there are others that have been appointed by Dallas Hurd or Herman Bartscheiger. He's a county commissioner. I don't know if he still is. He used to be a senator and a county commissioner, and he did nothing good for our party whatsoever. And we have a chair now who is much like Biden. I like Justin Huang very much as a person, but he is not a strong leader. And we need a strong leader. We need somebody who has the cojones to run this party and speak out the truth is what we need. And
so who wears the pants at ORGOP?
Right now, who's wearing the pants? It appears to be our vice chair, who is Dr. Angela Plowhead. Believe it or not, she's a psychologist or psychiatrist. I don't know which. And in fact, when she ran to be vice chair and asked me for her vote, I said, how are you going to run your business? Why would you want to be, the vice chair of the party when you have a successful practice, apparently? And she says, no, I want to give to the party. Well, now the rumor has it she has her sights on running for higher office. Remember, I mentioned that, people think I'll come in and I'll see, because we have a lot of data. So they want the data, Scott, which is exactly what Dallas Hurd wanted. He tried to he tried to demand every county chair give them all of their donor lists and all of their PCP contact lists. I know that they don't have the right to ask for that. I never complied. There might have been some inexperienced county chairs that complied with that, but he was trying to data mine because he wanted to run for governor. That all played out in a meeting. And we voted no, we're not endorsing you. Just the hell resign and go away. And that's exactly what he did. So
What's Dallas Hurd's background?
he is has a business. He's a landscaper and a landscaping business, and he's from I want to say Douglas County. And other than that, I don't know. He was elected senator. He actually in his last term or his only term, he voted no on everything. He says, "I'm voting no on principle, even good bills." It was kind of a ridiculous thing that I saw him do. I thought that's not leading. That's just being ridiculous. And it was over masks. It was during COVID. Because we have to wear masks on the floor, I'm just going to vote for everything. No on everything. And yet he would comply, put his mask on the floor, and then he would go out and he would say, wasn't wearing it. I've seen videos of him and his sham that he was doing. And it's just such a shame, but he was trying to data mine while he was the chair.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So do you think he's kind of at the head of the snake?
I actually don't. I don't think he has the intelligence for that. But his father has quite a bit of money. I don't know his father's background. And I think his father is who had put him up to running for chair. That's my personal opinion. I can be wrong. I can be right. I don't have anything to base it on except for things that I heard about. And so I'm not going to go on that rumor mill, except for that's what I kind of base his actions and seeing his father at the meetings. His father at the meetings. In fact, his father was there. His wife was there. His children were there when he asked us as a body to actually endorse him to be the governor. And as a body, we said, no, we're not doing that at all. And he broke down in tears, actually, at this meeting, because we would not give him this blessing of an endorsement from the Oregon Republican Party to be the governor. He would have been a disaster. How do you run a campaign? When he was running to be the chairman, he would say over and over, well, I just delegate. And you know what? That's exactly what he did as the chairman of the party. He delegated everything away to other people. He did nothing for our party. He didn't raise any money. He did nothing. I see a comment there from Lynette that he had connections to Ammon Bundy. I don't know anything about that, but I do trust Lynette very much. So that would not be surprising.
Yeah, that would be fascinating. So and yeah, that's interesting. So he's really the one that brought up Don Powers.
Yeah, he is the person who appointed Don Powers. And then Don Powers, and to what position, I don't know. Maybe it was even into election integrity. So Don is co-chair of election integrity, don't you know? I don't know that he does anything with that. But what I do see him doing is smearing good people that I know that have worked for years with our party, trying to move it forward in a good, constructive way and not slamming other people and trying to slander other people. But I definitely will call out Don Powers for the effigy, what I've seen him do, what I've witnessed him doing, and the effigy that he had. I had never seen anything like that of Solomon Yu when they were trying to recall. And that was a failed recall of Solomon.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's not a good thing. We've had some other interesting players here in our party. We had a gal, Jeanette Shada, that's the gal who I have a video of, that she's telling the people, Sonny's a liar. I know the truth. And I thought, you don't know shit, Shada and Jeanette. In fact, I've had her on Captive Audience. She was all about school choice and helping the children. And I thought she was a teacher here in the state of Oregon. She now lives somewhere else, I think the Carolinas. And so she was one. Or maybe she was a useful idiot. And because she got fired from her job, she didn't win her election that she was running for. Maybe she just left. She's been pretty quiet. We had Sam Carpenter was here for 3 years, and he's out of Kentucky. And he never did anything to lift a finger to help our party, but he would write extensively. And I will say he's not a bad writer. Write extensively about all the bad things of the leadership of our party. And it was when we were the most productive. He ran for chair, didn't win. He ran for governor, he didn't win. He ran for another position, I don't know what, maybe senator or house, I don't know. He didn't win. And he and his wife, thankfully, moved back to Kentucky. We have Michael Cross, who is currently on the ballot running for attorney general. He sabotaged 2 recalls for the governor, filing duplicate petitions. We have a very good candidate running for attorney general in Will Lathrop. And so here's Michael Cross filing again to run for attorney general. So this is his second time that he has run. Nobody vote for him. The man is a fraud. He is a criminal. He sues people. He's just an operative. He's there to steal votes. Interestingly enough, we've had someone else. His name is Alex McHatted. And I'm going to just call out Alex McHatted because he is the treasurer or secretary. I don't want to get it wrong, his position. Let me see, because I have a page here. He is the treasurer for the Young Republicans of Oregon. He is also the failed treasurer of the Oregon Republican Party that caused our party to have a $5,000 fine and over filings. I don't know the inside of that. I just know that we had to pay it. And I do believe he paid it. He then went on to resign over health issues. He used to be Union County chair, and he is part of the underlying, I will tell you, I know it with my bones, that he is part of the underlying undertone of the infiltrators in our party trying to make a change. And in fact, the Young Republicans of Oregon, it's interesting. If you look at their website, they say they're all about Republicans. But if you look at their Facebook page, it says, we take everybody. We take Democrats, independents, unaffiliated. We take everybody into the Young Republicans of Oregon on Facebook. But then the fine print says, but if you want to join us, you need to be a registered Republican. And a few years back, I actually made a complaint to the National Young Republicans of Oregon because the Facebook page and the website language do not jive.
Right.
And some of the people in there I think are very good, but I was told to my face from Stephen Lloyd, who is their state chair. He used to be a chair of another county, but he got recalled over his recalled and removed from that. I like Stephen as a person, but I think he's highly misguided. He had said to me, he goes, the Young Republicans are going to take over the Oregon Republican Party. So I know that.
Wow.
And they have got, he said, we've got several on the executive committee now, and we're going to continue that. So
wow.
That doesn't surprise me. Okay. Yep. So I will call them out.
that kind of language. That sounds just like in Arizona, the Patriot Party, Steve Daniels and Dan McCarthy. They about 3 years ago, when they formed the Patriot Party, they said, we're going to take over the Republican Party. We're gonna burn it down and build up from the ashes. And
Yeah, burn it down to control the ashes. What the hell good is that?
yeah, it's ridiculous.
It is. But you know what it's doing is it's stopping forward momentum.
Mhm.
And we were, and like I said earlier, under Chairman Currier's leadership and those that were, it was, it's a group effort, but he was doing so much. We had, and I think, truthfully, I think even the Republican caucus in the state of Oregon was not liking necessarily all that he was doing. And how could that be? How can that be? But the chairman of the party represents every Republican in the state of Oregon. That is the chairman's job. And when I had said those very words to Dallas Hurd, he says, I don't represent those people at all. That's a direct quote to me in a phone conversation. And, it's so those people, when you hear that type of thing, they are not working for the betterment of our party. They truly aren't. And it's very disheartening for a person like me and those that are working to forward movement of our party and for the conservative movement in our nation, because we've got a nation to save. We don't need this is small potatoes. We've got a nation to save.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. And when I don't think, it's like those people that drive around with a coexist bumper sticker. It's very difficult for a party, and I don't think that a party really can function when a segment of the party wants the party's destruction. And it's here in Michigan, actually, you asked before the call to just kind of my thoughts on solutions. And I think Michigan is in better shape than any other state in the whole country right now. The Michigan Republican Party, because we have successfully removed the cancer that was at the top.
Wow.
Ramo. She's gone. Got a temporary injunction. I haven't heard yet. I think that today we actually got that made permanent. So she could no longer call herself chair. She had to surrender the books. She had to surrender the bank accounts. She had to surrender the website, the Twitter pages, everything. She had to surrender it. And she was going kicking and screaming. Even for a couple months after the injunction, she still was disobeying it. But the reality now is we have a good chair who is doing exactly that. I mean, he sees himself as representing the entire party, and he's raising money. He's bringing people together, and they're doing Republican things, like get out the vote programs. And stuff like that.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Right.
I mean, I received an email. I'm a county chair. I received an email just a few days ago. Oh, this is our get out the vote program. And I thought, like, where the hell was that months ago? You don't do this when the ballots drop. This is, oops. Oh, yeah, we should be doing this.
Right.
That's not planning. It's not a winning strategy.
Right. The way that it happened and the way that they got there is it was a process of bringing people together from all over the state. They really had to come together and talk and get to know each other. And it was amazing how it brought the whole state together. I mean, it brought, and it was a battle. I mean, because it is not comfortable speaking out against these people. No. They make it very uncomfortable to speak out against them. And until you have enough people coming together to courageously speak out against them and consistently and persistently speak out against them, and so that until you get to critical mass, that's what's needed. You have to remove these people. You can't coexist with them. You can't just hope that you get through and hope that everything's going to be okay and we get through the election. They want nothing more than the complete and total control over the party to make this a one-party state. And that party is not the Democrat Party; it's the Communist Party. That's really what they want. And
you're absolutely right.
And
You're
so
absolutely right.
it's and we have to see even past this election, because they're looking
Yes.
past this election.
We have to
They're,
play the
they're out
long
there.
game.
Yes, and so you got to get out there. You got to recruit delegates. You got to look at where they're the strongest and try to hit them there, and where they're the weakest, and strengthen your numbers there. And you got to draw people all together, and you got to figure out how you can remove the ones that are at the top, and declare that they are not Republicans and they have to go. And and so every state has different bylaws and different mechanisms for removing an officer, but you got to come together and figure out how to do that. So it's hard. It's crazy. I mean, we
It
shouldn't
is
be in
hard.
this
But you
position,
know what?
but I'm in.
Things that are worthwhile aren't easy,
That's right.
and I want us to, I want Oregon to have a strong, cohesive, and cohesive doesn't mean they all have to agree. Just like a family, not all family members agree, but it's the bigger mission. It's the mission and having the larger vision of what we need to accomplish here in Oregon versus self-interest. When I ran for chair, I'm in my third term as chair in our county. I said, I'm not running for higher office, like political office. I've been asked to run for various positions. And I said, that's not what I got involved for. I didn't get involved to become a politician. I got involved to help the party. And with my and I've done that in many, many ways. And we need more people that are willing to do that sacrifice, and that's for the betterment of the party as a whole, because the more that we fix our own state, that is then a cog in the wheel to help the nation be better, right? And yeah, I'll tell you, would like to have you back, Scott. We've covered a lot.
It's been a lot of fun. Thank you.
And thank you for the, we do have hard work to do, and it is hard. And I do know that there are people in our party that, and even that are not in our party, or that aren't necessarily elected PCPs and what, that come on in and join us and join the ranks, and let's make our state better, because this is what we have to do to turn it around. And we have to have voter conversion. We have to get those unaffiliated voters being Republicans and turning in the ballots. And turning in the ballots. And we need 150,000 voters to turn this state around. And yet our party is not working on voter conversion at all. At all.
Right. Well, not only that, but they're working on moving the party as far to the right as possible, because the only way, because election fraud is a reality. I mean, it really always has been. As long as there's been elections, people have tried to cheat in elections, but especially with the mail-in ballots and the lack of transparency and all the problems with elections.
Yeah.
You need to win by a big margin. And you gotta, just like Trump said. I was at a Trump rally a couple of weeks ago. He says, you gotta be we have to make our vote too big to rig.
That's right.
So in order to do that, we need a large coalition of voters that includes independents, moderate, center left moderate Democrats that are disenfranchised by their party that's gone so far off the rails, and moderate Republicans, and and even people farther right. But you can't, all these people that are saying, no, we need to be Christian nationalists. We need to go so far to the right, and we need to apply these purity tests. That is just the only reason why you would want to do that is if you want the party to fail. And so they're aiding and abetting the Democrats.
So you're right. And I'll tell you, here in Oregon, one of the terms that is used is we need to have the bigger tent.
Mm-hmm.
That's a term that is used here. And because it is not just the Republicans that are going to take it to turn this around. And we have in the state of Oregon, the unaffiliated voter outnumbers both the Democrat and the Republican Party in this state. And those are people that, I don't even think many of them know how to register, because we have this thing called motor voter in our state. And so they're like automatically they're registered. They at the DMV, this is very quickly at DMV, they can say, all right, you pick a party. They pick a party, then they get a postcard in the mail. If they do not turn that postcard in with declaring this is the party I wanted to be affiliated with, then they automatically get reverted to an unaffiliated voter. And that's why all these people, they go, oh yeah, I just round filed that thing. Well, you have to, they don't read it, that you have to turn it in, and then you will get your voter registration for whatever party you chose. And we have so many people, and I'm fortunate in Umatilla County. We are fortunate that the Republicans outnumber the Democrats 2-1, and our unaffiliated voters logically are going to be the same affiliation, 2-1 Republican. And we as a county have been, this is not the first time, but most recently we are targeting those unaffiliated voters that actually turn a ballot in and that lean Republican, to try to get them to change to be Republicans. And I know other counties are doing that as well. And we have to work on voter conversion, but we're not getting that message from our state party. It's disheartening, but you know what? We as counties, we can take it and do it. Yeah. We don't have to wait for their leadership.
That's for sure.
So, hey, everybody, Scott, thank you for coming on, and I appreciate it. And we will do this again. And everybody, to share the message, share the link, and thank you for coming on, and a lot of comments tonight.
Great.
Thank you, and have a good night and a great weekend.
Sonny, can I just give a quick plug?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, if you haven't seen my Substack, it's at biggertruth.substack.com. That's biggertruth.substack.com. And for $5 a month, you can become a member. That is I'm doing this full time, and that's my only source of income. I'm not beholden to anyone. I don't have any large donors or anything like that. The enemy often accuses me of that, but I would appreciate your support. So thank you. Okay.
And I put a link to your Substack in the comments there as well. So everybody, let's, and I'm in Substack actually, reading. So thank you very much.
Great. Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.